Good morning, my dear friend. As the first golden rays of the sun spill across the earth and the world slowly wakes, I welcome you into this sacred space, this still and holy hour where heaven seems closest and our hearts are most open. The early morning is not just a time. It is an invitation to breathe again, to begin again, to feel the quiet whisper of grace brushing against the soul before the noise of the world sets in. Perhaps today, you are listening while sitting beside a cup of coffee gone cold, wrapped in silence heavy with unanswered questions. Maybe you did not sleep last night. Your body lay still, but your mind ran wild, chasing thoughts you could not catch, wrestling shadows you could not name. You might be carrying grief too deep for words or a fear that has become a companion. You may have lost someone, or something, or even a part of yourself. You smile at others, but you have forgotten how it feels to truly smile inside. You move through life performing strength, yet you feel like you are breaking in secret. You long for peace, but you do not know how to reach it. You pray, but lately it feels like your prayers bounce off the ceiling and fall back into your lap unanswered. If that is where you are this morning, then you are not alone. You are not abandoned, and this moment was prepared for you. Because this is not just another day. This is a divine opportunity. Too often, we wake up burdened by the day before it even begins. We carry yesterday as failures, tomorrow's worries, and the crushing need to figure it all out today. We try to control what we cannot predict, to fix what is not ours to repair, and to overthink every step before we ever take the first one. But what if this morning could be different? What if, instead of striving to survive the day, you entered it with sacred surrender? What if, before you moved a single muscle, you quieted your soul and remembered you were never meant to carry this alone? This prayer is not just a ritual. It is not just poetic language or a spiritual routine. It is a doorway, a lifeline, a holy conversation between your soul and the one who made it. You do not need to perform here. You do not need to have perfect words. You are not coming to impress God. You are coming to be embraced by Him, to be known, to be restored. Today, I want to walk with you into a place beyond fear, a place beyond the need for certainty, a place where trust is greater than understanding and peace is deeper than any storm you may face. This is not a journey of answers, but a journey into presence, the presence of the God who hears, who heals, and who holds every broken part of you with hands that never let go. So I invite you now to take a breath, not just through your lungs, but through your spirit. Breathe in hope. Breathe out fear. Let your heart soften. Let your walls lower. Let your soul lean in. You are not alone in this moment. You are deeply loved. And as we prepare to pray together, I encourage you to bring your whole self, your questions, your doubts, your regrets, your dreams. All of it belongs in this conversation. This is the morning you stop striving. This is the morning you start listening. This is the morning you return to the heart of God. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning I come before you with the weight of the world, pressing against my chest, and the haze, uncertainty clouding my thoughts. As the light of dawn creeps in through the window and the silence of early morning wraps around me like a fragile blanket, I find myself not at peace but tangled in confusion. I did not wake with clarity. I woke with questions. I woke with a heart full of hesitation and a mind already running ahead into the day before I had time to breathe. The noise begins before the world even stirs, and I carry that noise within me. I do not come to impress you. I do not come with perfect words or polished thoughts. I come as I am, frayed around the edges, doubtful, vulnerable, trying to believe but still afraid. I carry the H of not knowing, the H of wondering if I will ever feel certain. I have tried to move forward, and yet something always pulls me back. I analyze every step before I take it. I hesitate at every turn. I second-guess what I thought was your voice, and in the process, I have lost the sound of it entirely. I have become afraid of my own decisions, afraid of my own mind, afraid of what might happen if I move, and equally afraid of what might happen if I stay still. God, I do not want to live this way anymore. I do not want to wake up anxious before the sun has fully risen. I do not want to begin each day already tired in my spirit. I do not want to live in this fog. I am tired of trying to make sense of everything before I can trust anything. I am tired of carrying all these thoughts that loop and circle and never land. I am tired of performing peace on the outside while chaos dances inside. I am tired of pretending I am strong when all I want is to be held. I know you are not far from me, even when you feel distant. I know you see what I do not say and hear the words I cannot form. I know that my silence speaks loudly to you, and that you are near even when I feel alone. God, I need more than knowledge this morning. I need your presence. I need to know that you are here in this fog with me. I need to know that you understand this tiredness, this fear that has no name but lives in every cell of my body. I need to know that I am not broken just because I cannot see clearly right now. So I ask you, God, in the gentleness of this morning, in the hush that only dawn can bring, will you meet me here? Will you meet me not in my strength, but in my weakness, not in my clarity, but in my confusion? Will you come into the fog and speak a word that clears the way even, if just for the next step? I do not ask for the full picture. I do not need to see the whole road, but I do ask for one thing. Will you give me enough light for this moment? Enough peace for this breath? Enough courage to stay open when everything in me wants to shut down? Sometimes I feel like I am walking in circles, like I am trying and still ending up in the same place. I plan and I pray and I wait and still feel lost. But maybe it is not about arriving somewhere. Maybe it is about meeting you in the middle of it. Maybe the fog is not a punishment. Maybe it is a place of invitation. Maybe you are drawing me in not to give me all the answers, but to give me yourself. And maybe that is what I have been longing for all along. So here I am, Lord, raw and real and unsure. I lay down the need to figure it all out. I lay down the pressure to have it all together. I lay down the belief that I must be perfect before I come to you. I come empty-handed and full-hearted. I come because even in the fog, I believe you are still good. I come because something in me knows that the fog will not last forever, that even if the sun is hidden now, it is still rising, and you are still faithful. Help me, Father, to stop trying to think my way into peace, and instead let me breathe my way into your presence. Let me stop running through scenarios and start resting in your sovereignty. Let me be still, not because I have no choice, but because I choose to trust. Let me remember that I am not lost just because I cannot see. I am held even in the fog. I am loved even in the waiting. I am not forgotten even in the silence. If I have nothing else today, let me have this quiet surrender. Let me have this sacred pause. Let me have this one moment where I stop striving and start listening. Let me know that you are with me, and that is enough. Let me feel your nearness, not as a rush, but as a whisper. Not as a sign, but as a presence. Not as a solution, but as a peace that surpasses all understanding. Dear God, if I never get every answer, if I never feel completely certain, if the fog never fully lifts, will you still meet me every morning like this? Will you still remind me that my weakness does not disqualify me? That my overthinking does not overpower you? That my hesitation does not cancel out my hope? Will you still choose to love me through it all? Because right now I need to believe that this moment matters. That this little prayer whispered in the middle of my confusion is heard in heaven. That this I carry is seen by you and carried with compassion. That this fog I wake up to is not a sign of failure, but a canvas where your mercy paints something new. So I open my heart even in the haze. I offer my tears as worship. I offer my questions as prayer. I offer my breath as a sign of surrender. I do not know what today will bring, but I know you are already in it. I do not know how I will make it through, but I know you have made a way. I do not know the answers, but I know your presence, and that is enough for now. You are the God of morning light, even when my sky is gray. You are the God of peace, even when my soul is noisy. You are the God of clarity, even when my mind is cloudy. You are the God who stays, and that is why I will stay too. I will stay in this moment. I will stay in this breath. I will stay in this prayer. I will stay with you. God, sometimes I do not know if I am praying or just surviving. I sit here with my hands open, not because I feel full of faith, but because I have nothing left to hold on to. It is not strength that brings me to you this morning. It is need, desperation, even. I am not trying to impress you with eloquence or effort. I just want to be real. I want to be known in the place where I feel most raw, most exposed, most unworthy. And even though part of me still wants to hide, another part of me aches to be seen. I have carried so much for so long. The silent battles, the buried fears, the memories I do not speak of, the pressure to be okay when I am not. Sometimes I am smiling on the outside and screaming on the inside. Sometimes I laugh just to keep from crying. I say I am fine because it feels easier than explaining why I am not. But you know, Father, you always know. You see past the words and into the wounds. You hear what I do not say. And today I cannot pretend with you. I need to cry out, not with polished phrases or rehearsed devotion, but with the messy kind of prayer that comes from the deepest place. The kind of cry that does not ask for explanation, but only for rescue. I do not want to be strong right now. I want to be honest. I want to weep without shame, to break without fear of being left alone in the pieces. I want to bring you the parts of me that I have hidden even from myself. There is a war in my mind, a conflict between what I believe and what I feel, between what I know in faith and what I fear in silence. And the battle exhausts me. I analyze every moment. I replay every mistake. I imagine every worst-case scenario. And I cannot shut it off. It plays on repeat like a song I did not choose. It is loud even in silence. It is heavy even when I try to rest. And I do not know how to escape it. But you, God, you are not afraid of this place. You do not run from my shadows. You do not withdraw from my chaos. You step into it. You draw close to the trembling. You bend down to hear the faintest cry. You collect every tear like it matters, like I matter. And that humbles me. That undoes me. Because I know I do not deserve such love, but you give it anyway. So I bring you this cry, Father. Not for answers, but for your nearness. Not for control, but for comfort. Not for perfection, but for peace. I bring you my fear that I have ruined everything. My dread that I am too much or not enough. My guilt for the things I should have done. My grief for the things I lost. I bring you the broken soundtrack in my mind that says, I am always one step behind and never quite good enough. I ask you to hold me here, in the place where I can barely speak, where my words fall apart mid-sentence, where the lump in my throat is louder than my voice. Hold me where I am fragile, where I am frayed, where I feel like a thread about to snap. Remind me that you are not waiting for me to pull myself together. You are coming close to me in the unraveling. God, if I am honest, I do not even know what I need. I say I want peace, but I do not know how to receive it. I say I want direction, but I still question every sign. I say I want healing, but sometimes I avoid the pain. I do not know what I want. I only know I want you. I want to be close to you in the places where I am falling apart. I want to feel safe enough to say I am not okay. And I want to believe that you will not turn away from that. So I give you my voice not because it is strong, but because it is real. I let the tears fall without apology. I let the groaning of my spirit become my offering. I bring you my longing to be held not for who I could be, but for who I am. I bring you my need to be known in the mess, not after I have cleaned it up. I bring you my cry, and I trust that you hear it. Sometimes I wonder if I am allowed to feel this much, if I am allowed to ask for help again, if I am allowed to show up with the same wounds again. But you remind me that mercy is new every morning, that grace is not tired of me, that love does not run out when I do. So I come again, not because I have changed, but because you have not. You are still faithful, still present, still here. Let this be enough right now. Not a perfect plan or a 5-step solution. Just this moment. Just this breath. Just this cry rising from the depths. Let it be holy. Let it be heard. Let it be held by you. I may not be able to explain what is going on inside me, but I do not have to. You understand sighs. You interpret tears. You speak the language of the heart, and mine is calling out to you now. God, I do not need a miracle as much as I need your touch. I do not need a prophecy as much as I need your presence. I do not need the problem solved as much as I need to know you see me in it. I am not asking for all the pain to vanish. I am asking to not feel alone in it. And I believe you are with me, not just in the victorious moments, but in this one. Right here. Right now. So I cry out with all that I am, not because I am strong, but because I know you are. I cry out because the silence is too loud and my heart is too heavy. I cry out because somewhere deep inside I still believe you care. I cry out because I cannot carry this anymore, and I do not have to. I cry out because I trust that you will meet me here, even in the dark, even in the doubt, even in the middle of the night when no one else sees. Let this cry rise as incense. Let it rise as surrender. Let it rise as hope even when I do not feel it. Let it rise and reach you and remind me that I am not forgotten. Let it rise because this cry is not weakness. It is worship. It is my soul remembering where help comes from. And my help comes from you, Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, you who do not sleep, you who do not turn away, you who never grow weary of holding me when I fall again. You are not offended by my desperation. You are drawn to it. You are not surprised by my sorrow. You are near to the brokenhearted. You do not flinch at the sound of grief. You dwell in it. And I need that truth more than I need relief. I need to know you are with me in the valley before you lift me to the mountain. I need to know you are God in the pain, not just God of the healing. So I sit with you here. I cry with you here. I breathe with you here. And I choose to believe that this too is holy. This too is prayer. This too is part of the journey. Even the cry, even the ache, even the trembling that I wish would go away. You are in it all and you are holding it all. And if you are here, then maybe I am not as lost as I thought I was. Father, I do not know how long I have been carrying all of this. The weight is so familiar now that I almost forgot it was never mine to hold. It has shaped the way I walk, the way I breathe, the way I see the world. It has become a part of me like extra layers I did not ask for but learned to live beneath. But something in me is beginning to break or not in a way that leads to collapse, but in a way that whispers freedom. Something in me is tired of the heaviness, tired of pretending it does not exist, tired of being so used to it that I no longer question why it is still there. God, you are the only one who sees what I carry without me having to explain it. You are the only one who can lift what I do not have words for. So here I am again, not with answers, but with weight. Not with perfect prayers, but with full arms. My burdens are not tidy. They are messy, complicated, layered with old memories and new fears. But I bring them anyway. I bring the burdens of my thoughts that spin faster than I can control. I bring the burdens of regret that show up uninvited at quiet moments. I bring the burden of feeling responsible for everything and everyone. I bring the fear of letting someone down, of failing again, of not being enough, no matter how hard I try. I bring you the burden of comparison that steals my peace, the burden of expectation that leaves me empty, the burden of performing for love that never feels secure. I bring you the pressure to succeed, the need to prove, the fear of being forgotten. I bring the burden of past words spoken over me that still echo in the corners of my mind even now. I bring the moments I relive when I think no one is watching. I bring the shame I have dressed in silence and worn like armor. I bring the heartbreak I never admitted and the dreams I have quietly buried. Lord, these burdens are not just thoughts, they are weights tied to my soul and they have made me wary. I have carried them through the motions of life, smiling, on cue showing up, when needed performing strength, when all I wanted was rest. I have tried to manage them, to organize them, to fix them, but they have only grown heavier. I have told myself I could carry them a little longer, just until I got through this week, this season, this crisis. But there is always another one waiting, always another reason to hold on instead of let go. But you did not create me to be my own savior. You never asked me to carry what only you can lift. You never required me to hold every piece together while falling apart inside. You invite me to lay it all down, not because I have earned rest, but because you are good. You offer me a place at your feet, not when I have conquered my chaos, but in the very midst of it. And I am learning slowly, painfully, humbly, that surrender is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the moment I choose trust over control. The moment I stop pretending I can do this without you. So I let go. I let go of needing to always be okay. I let go of needing a reason, for every emotion a solution, for every problem an explanation, for every tear. I let go of what they said and what they did not say. I let go of what I lost and what I cannot get back. I let go of timelines and expectations and the picture I had in my mind of what life was supposed to look like by now. I let go of the pressure to perform, the fear of being misunderstood, the ache of being unseen. I let go of trying to pray right or sound strong. This is my prayer. This is my laying down. Father, I place each burden at your feet, not all at once, but one by one. I name them as I release them. The stress that knots my shoulders, the fear that wakes me in the middle of the night, the voice that tells me I am falling behind, the guilt I carry for what I did and what I failed to do, the questions that circle with no answer in sight, the dreams I have postponed, the ones I have buried, the ones that still flicker, even though I have tried to forget them. The need to be in control, the fear of losing control. I place them all here, right here, where I can finally stop pretending to be strong enough. And as I lay these things down, I do not ask you to erase my past. I ask you to meet me in it. I do not ask you to make life easy. I ask you to make it holy. I do not ask you to take away all my responsibilities. I ask you to give me rest within them, to teach me how to carry only what is mine, and to release what was never meant for my hands. I ask you to remind me again and again and again that I'm not alone, that you are walking beside me, bearing more of this than I ever could, that you are faithful to hold the things I cannot and faithful to hold me too. Lord, I want to live light. I want to live unburdened, not careless but free, not empty but open. I want to walk through today without the invisible weight pressing down on every moment. I want to laugh without feeling guilty for forgetting the heaviness. I want to love without fearing that it will not last. I want to wake up and not dread the day before it begins. I want to breathe and actually feel breath filling my lungs instead of just survival. Teach me how to live like that. Not with everything figured out, but with everything surrendered. Not with a perfect plan, but with a soft heart. Not with answers, but with availability. Teach me how to wake up and say, I am yours before I say, I am ready. How to open my hands before I open my mouth. How to listen before I react. How to lean into grace before I reach for control. Teach me how to rest in your enoughness, so I do not have to exhaust myself trying to be enough. Let this laying down be the beginning of new strength. Not the kind that comes from striving, but the kind that rises from stillness. Not the kind that pretends everything is okay, but the kind that trusts you when it is not. Let this surrender become the soil where peace can grow, where hope can rise again, where joy can return even in small and quiet ways. Let me feel lightness where there was once only weight. Let me walk a little taller, not because the burden disappeared, but because I no longer carry it alone. You are not asking me to be superhuman. You are not disappointed in my weakness. You are not surprised that I am tired. You are inviting me to come closer, not to prove myself, but to be restored. To sit at your feet not as a servant performing for approval, but as a child returning home. And so I come again. I come not because I am strong, but because I am safe here. I come with open hands and a willing heart. I come to lay down not just what burdens me, but who I become under the weight. And as I leave these things here at your feet, I trust you with them. I do not know what you will do with each one, but I know you will do something. You will take what is too much for me and make it part of something beautiful. You will take what is broken and bring something whole. You will take what is hidden and bring it into healing. I trust you not because I understand, but because I have nowhere else to place this weight. And that is enough. You are enough. Even now, even here, even in the letting go. Father, the more I let go, the more I realize how tightly I have been holding on to the illusion of control. Even after laying my burdens down, I still feel the pull of needing to understand everything. I keep reaching for answers, for guarantees, for some kind of reassurance that everything will make sense if I just wait long enough or think hard enough. But deep inside I know that this craving for certainty is not faith. It is fear wearing a mask. I have worshipped clarity like it was the key to peace. I have bowed to the idol of needing to know before I go needing to see before I believe. I have mistaken detailed plans for divine protection. I have treated my own understanding like it was sacred, like it had the power to save me from failure, from pain, from regret. And I see now how much that has cost me. How much life I have postponed waiting for things to feel safe enough, clear enough, secure enough. God, I am tired of waiting for perfect conditions. Tired of needing to be sure before I move. Tired of analyzing the risk before I trust your voice. I have lived too long under the pressure of always needing a why before I obey. And in doing so, I have missed so many moments where you were already present, already speaking, already moving. I was too busy calculating to notice the invitation. You never promised me full understanding. You never required me to map out the whole journey. You simply asked me to follow, to listen, to trust. And yet I turned that trust into a project, a puzzle, a problem to be solved instead of a relationship to be embraced. I wanted signs and confirmation. I wanted certainty so I would not have to risk being wrong. But you are not interested in keeping me comfortable. You are inviting me to be courageous. Lord, I confess that I have tried to make you fit to my need for predictability. I have tried to shrink you down into something manageable, something explainable. I wanted you to be logical, to follow my rules, to match my timeline. But you are not a system to be mastered. You are not a concept to be understood. You are the living God who moves in mystery and mercy. And I do not want to miss you, because I was too busy trying to decode you. So I surrender the idol of certainty. I break the altar I built out of my own need to always feel in control. I renounce the lie that says I must be completely sure before I can move forward. I let go of the idea that faith means having no doubts. Faith is choosing you even when I do. Faith is stepping out while still unsure. Faith is saying yes even when my voice shakes. God, I choose to walk with you in the fog, not wait for the clouds to clear. I choose to say yes when the details are blurry. I choose to believe that you will meet me in motion, not just in meditation. I will no longer wait for everything to make sense before I follow where you lead. I will no longer delay obedience in exchange for the illusion of safety. I will no longer put my trust in maps and plans when you have already promised to guide my steps. You are the lamp to my feet, not the spotlight to my future. You are the whisper that calls me forward, not the blueprint that removes all risk. And I want to learn how to live in that tension. The space where I do not know what comes next, but I know you are with me. The space where I do not have all the answers, but I trust the one who does. Let me live with holy uncertainty. Let me walk in sacred unknowing. Not because I am careless, but because I am confident that you are good. Let me release the pressure to always have a plan, and instead cling to the promise that you are my shepherd, and I shall not want. Let me trade the burden of needing to be sure for the blessing of being surrendered. I do not want to waste any more time searching for signs when I already have your spirit. I do not want to delay what you have already prepared, because I am waiting for a feeling of control. Control is not peace, it is bondage. And you have called me to freedom. Freedom from the weight of needing to know. Freedom from the chains of overanalyzing every step. Freedom to walk by faith, not by sight. Father, remind me that you are not fragile. My doubts do not scare you. My questions do not diminish your love. You are not looking for perfect understanding. You are looking for willing hearts. You are looking for those who will say yes, even if they do not have all the information. And that is the kind of person I want to be. Someone who moves not because I have it all figured out, but because I have decided to trust you anyway. Even if I make mistakes, you are not waiting to punish me. You are waiting to walk with me, to teach me, to gently redirect me. I am not on a tightrope where one wrong step leads to disaster. I am on a journey where grace goes before me and mercy follows behind. I am safe not because I know everything, but because I am known by you. Let my prayers be less about clarity and more about closeness. Less about answers and more about presence. Let my days begin not with strategies, but with surrender. Not with a checklist, but with childlike faith. Let me live like I believe that you are enough even when nothing else makes sense. Let me step into the unknown with peace, because I am not walking alone. God, dismantle every belief in me that tells me I have to do this by myself. Dismantle the pride that says my understanding is what holds my life together. Dismantle the fear that keeps me frozen while life moves on. Teach me to love mystery, to embrace the questions, to breathe in the unknown and exhale trust. Teach me to rest in not knowing, because I rest in the one who knows. Let today be a day where I live lighter, because I let go of needing to be certain. Let today be the day where trust becomes more than a word and surrender becomes more than a concept. Let it be the day I stop delaying joy, peace, and purpose until everything makes sense. Let me not miss the beauty of this moment because I am too busy trying to figure out the next. Father, I open my hands again. I release the craving for clarity. I release the obsession with outcomes. I release the lie that tells me I cannot move forward until I am sure. You are sure, and that is enough. You are steady when I am shaky. You are wise when I am confused. You are present when I am lost. And I will follow you into the unknown because your love goes with me, and that is the only certainty I need today. Father, now that I have begun to loosen my grip on the need to be certain, I start to see just how many voices have been whispering in the background of my mind for so long. Voices that have pretended to be truth, but have only ever brought fear and shame. I did not always recognize them for what they were. They sounded so reasonable, so familiar, that I mistook them for my own thoughts, but they were lies, and I have let them sit too long in the sacred spaces of my heart. Today, I want to name them. I want to drag them out into the light so they can no longer hide in the shadows. I want to call them what they are so they lose their power, because your truth does not coexist with deception. And I want my mind to be a home for your voice, not a battleground of doubt. Lord, the lie that says I have to earn love has followed me like a shadow. It tells me I must perform for approval, prove my worth, impress you and everyone else just to feel safe. But you have never required performance. You loved me first. You loved me still. You love me now. Even when I am silent, even when I am unsure, even when I feel small and unseen. You do not ask me to achieve love. You ask me to receive it. And I want to live like that is true. The lie that says I am too much and not enough at the same time has exhausted me. It tells me I am overwhelming to some and inadequate to others. It makes me shrink back and reach forward, at once unsure of where I belong. But you call me chosen. You call me your own. You remind me that I am not a mistake, not an accident, not a burden. I was created with intention, designed with care, and held with joy. You are not intimidated by who I am or disappointed in who I am not. The lie that says if I fail it defines me has left me frozen. It whispers that one wrong move will ruin everything, that any mistake will unravel the good you have done. But that is not how you work. You are not fragile, and my failures do not dismantle your faithfulness. When I fall, you lift me. When I mess up, you redeem. When I wander, you come find me. My failure is never final in your hands, and my identity is not built on perfection, but on your promises. The lie that says I must always be strong has made me wary. It says I cannot ask for help, cannot break down, cannot be human. But I am not called to carry everything alone. I am not required to hold everything together. Your strength is made perfect in my weakness, not in my performance. And you are not disappointed by my tears. You are drawn to them. You are near to the brokenhearted, and that includes me. The lie that says I have to be certain to be faithful has kept me from moving. It convinces me that doubt disqualifies me and questions separate me from you. But you are not threatened by my wondering. You invite it. You sit with me in it. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but the courage to trust you even when I feel unsure. You are patient with me even when I am slow to believe. and I want to believe again. The lie that says I must be useful to be valuable has robbed me of rest. It makes me hustle for worth and measure my value by how much I produce. But you see me even when I am still. You delight in me even when I bring nothing to the table. My being is enough because you breathed life into me. My worth is not transactional. It is rooted in your unwavering affection. God, these lies have shaped me. They have influenced how I speak, how I think, how I relate to others, and how I see you. But I do not want them anymore. I do not want to build my life on false foundations. I do not want to filter your voice through the lens of lies. I want truth to take up residence in every corner of my mind. I want your voice to be louder than the lies I have believed for too long. So I reject them one by one. I renounce the voice that says I am too far gone. I silence the whisper that says I am alone. I rebuke the thought that says I am unworthy of joy. I shut down the noise that says I missed my chance. I refuse the lie that tells me I have nothing to offer. I choose instead to believe what you say, that I am redeemed, that I am restored, that I am deeply loved, that I am not forgotten, that I am held, that I belong. Lord, teach me how to fight these lies with truth, not with striving, but with stillness, not with panic, but with prayer. Let your word become the sword I wield, not as a weapon against people, but as a shield for my heart. Let your spirit remind me of who I am when the enemy tries to twist what I know. Let your light flood every dark place where lies have lingered for too long. Help me to notice the patterns, to recognize when fear is masquerading as wisdom, when anxiety is dressed up as responsibility, when avoidance wears the mask of discernment. Help me see what is really behind the thoughts that paralyze me. Help me discern the difference between conviction and condemnation. Your voice draws me close. The enemy's voice drives me into hiding. Let me always run toward you, not away. And when I cannot silence the lies on my own, remind me that I am not alone, that I do not have to battle in secret, that you have given me community, that you surround me with others who are also healing, also growing, also learning to believe truth again. Help me reach out when I feel isolated. Help me speak what I have kept hidden. Help me ask for prayer when I am too tired to pray for myself. Let truth be shared between hearts like light passed from candle to candle. God, I want to be free in my mind. I want to wake up and not feel the weight of false beliefs pressing down before I even begin the day. I want to walk through life with a clear head and a quiet heart. I want my thoughts to be aligned with grace, not shame. I want to think in ways that lead to peace, not panic. I want my inner world to reflect the goodness you keep offering. So speak louder, Father. Speak truth into my core, into the places where I am still afraid, still confused, still wounded. Speak truth that breaks through walls I did not mean to build. Speak truth that unravels the cords I wrapped around my identity. Speak truth that lingers long after the lies try to come back. Speak until I believe you again. Until I believe you more than I believe the voice of fear. I may still hear those old voices. They may try to return when I least expect them. But now I will know better. Now I will recognize them. And now I will run to you. Because you are the voice of life. You are the voice of love. You are the voice that called me out of darkness and still calls me forward every morning into light. Father, now that I have named the lies and stood in the truth of who you say I find myself wanting more than just the silence of false voices. I want the clarity of your voice again. I want to hear the sound of my shepherd calling me in the early hours when the world is still quiet and my heart is open. I want to recognize you not just in moments of peace, but in the everyday noise and need. Because so often I have listened to everything and everyone else and lost the frequency of you. God, I know you are still speaking. I know you have not gone quiet or withdrawn. I know you are not distant or hard to find. But somewhere along the way, I stopped listening with expectation. I let the noise of fear, the hum of distraction, and the static of my own thoughts drown out the sound of your nearness. And now I am asking you to help me return to the simplicity of hearing you again. Not in a dramatic moment, not in a flash of lightning, but in the still small whisper that reminds me you are near. You said that your sheep know your voice. And I want to believe that is still true for me. I want to believe that even when I feel far, I am still known. That even when I feel deaf to direction, you are still guiding me. That even when I am unsure, you are not frustrated. You are patient, you are kind, and you are speaking with more love than I often know how to receive. Help me, Lord, to remember what it feels like to be led, not pushed or pressured, but gently drawn. Not shamed into movement, but invited forward by trust. I do not want to follow fear. I do not want to follow anxiety disguised as urgency. I want to follow you, the shepherd who walks ahead of me with wisdom and mercy. The one who does not drive me with guilt, but leads me with grace. Sometimes I overthink, because I do not trust I am hearing you right. I wonder if it was just my own thought, my own hope, my own fear, and then I spiral trying to make sure I am not missing you. But you are not trying to trick me. You are not playing hide and seek with my spirit. You are a God who reveals, not one who hides. A Father who wants connection, not confusion. So clear away the clutter in my mind. Strip down the layers of overthinking until I can sit quietly in your presence and know that you are here. Let me hear the voice that does not rush me, but reassures me. The voice that does not accuse me, but anchors me. The voice that does not confuse, but confirms. Let me grow sensitive again to the movement of your spirit, to the nudge in my soul, to the peace that surpasses understanding even when the path ahead is still unclear. Lord, help me not to seek signs because I doubt, but to listen because I desire relationship. I do not want to make every decision a drama of spiritual performance. I want to live in constant communion with you, a rhythm of walking and listening, of speaking and resting. I want to walk through today not with the pressure of perfection, but with the posture of a child who knows they are being led. Even when the world around me screams for attention, may I turn my ear toward you. Even when advice floods in from all directions, may I weigh it against the tone of your heart. Even when my own voice grows loud with urgency and logic and fear, may I pause long enough to remember that your voice never sounds like panic. It never feels like pressure. It never stings with shame. Your voice may convict, but it never condemns. It may challenge, but it always covers. It may stretch me, but it never tears me down. God, I have missed you in the noise. I have rushed past you while asking you to speak. I have demanded clarity while ignoring the quiet places where you were already waiting. But today I slow down. I choose to believe that your voice is not far, that I have not ruined my ability to hear you, that my soul still knows the sound of its shepherd, and I can return to that sound again. Let me remember the way you whispered peace into my spirit before, the way you gently stopped me when I was running ahead, the way you prompted me with a nudge I did not understand until later. Those were not coincidences. That was you. You have always been speaking. You have always been leading. Even when I was too overwhelmed to notice, you were still near. So speak again, Lord. Speak into the ordinary. Speak into the questions I am carrying. Speak into the decisions I keep postponing because I am afraid of choosing wrong. Speak into the longings that I do not know how to express. Speak into the quiet shame that still lingers underneath my smile. Speak with the kindness that I cannot resist and the authority that calms my chaos. Teach me to slow down so I can recognize when it is you and not my fear talking. Teach me to test the voices not by volume but by fruit. Does it bring peace or panic clarity, or confusion, conviction, or condemnation? Let that be how I discern. Not by whether it agrees with my comfort, but whether it aligns with your character. Your voice always brings me back to love, to hope, to stillness, to purpose. Your voice always reminds me who I am and who you are. And when I cannot tell what is you and what is me, may I trust that you are still guiding, that you can speak through closed doors and opened windows, through friends and strangers, through scripture and silence. May I never limit you to one method or moment. May I never assume that because you are quiet, you are absent. Your silence is not rejection. Sometimes it is invitation. Sometimes it is a deeper call to wait and to rest and to listen without trying to force the next word. Father, let your voice be the first thing I seek when the day begins and the last sound I crave before I sleep. Let it be louder than my insecurities, stronger than my fears, and more familiar than the lies I once believed. Let it interrupt my overthinking with reminders of your presence. Let it silence my panic with your peace. Let it shape my thoughts until they no longer spiral but stand. I want to walk through this day listening, not to the pressure to do more or the fear of falling short, but to the quiet confidence that comes from knowing I am being led by love. You are not a distant commander shouting from a mountaintop. You are the shepherd who walks with me step by step, word by word, grace by grace. And I want to follow you with my whole heart, not because I understand everything, but because I trust the one who does. You are not hard to find. You are not hiding. You are here, speaking, leading, loving. And I am listening now again with open hands and a soft heart ready to go where you go, because your voice is enough for me. Lord, as I listen for your voice and quiet the noise within me, I begin to feel something I have missed for a long time. It is subtle, but it is there. The soft warmth of mercy rising with the light. The kind of mercy that does not rush in with grand declarations, but slips in gently like dawn, slipping through the cracks of a weary soul. I realize now how desperately I need this. Not just a new plan or another breakthrough, but a new morning filled with the kind of mercy that meets me, where I am not where I think I should be. I have woken up too many days with guilt heavy on my chest and yesterday's shortcomings echoing in my mind. I have rehearsed what I should have done, what I wish I had said, what I regret having believed. And before I even take my first step, I have already convinced myself I am behind, unworthy, already failing. But that is not how you see me. That is not how you begin the day with me. You do not meet me with a list of disappointments. You meet me with compassion. Father, you said your mercies are new every morning, and I want to believe that means this very one right now, not just on the mornings when I feel spiritual or strong or focused, but on this one where I still feel scattered, still unsure, still tired from the weight of my thoughts. On this morning when I barely whispered your name, but somehow you still drew near. Your mercy is not performance-based, is presence-based. It shows up not because I earned it, but because you are faithful. Thank you that I do not have to carry yesterday into today. Thank you that shame does not get to ride on the shoulders of this sunrise. Thank you that I get to begin again without pretending I never struggled. Thank you that you are not surprised by my humanity, that you do not flinch at my need for fresh starts, that you never grow weary of offering grace that washes the slate clean. God, sometimes I do not know how to receive mercy. I am so used to striving, earning, calculating, trying to be good enough. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, or for the day you finally say, I have reached the limit. But you never do. Your mercy has no expiration, no fine print, no conditions that I must perfectly fulfill. You offer it freely and fully. All you ask is that I take it, that I let it sink in, that I stop trying to fix myself before I come and simply come. So here I am, Lord, trying not to resist the kindness that feels too good to be true, trying to let your mercy speak louder than my inner critic, trying to trust that this is how you love without conditions or scorecards or delay. I want to live this day from mercy, not toward it. I want to begin from acceptance, not spend the whole day chasing approval. I want to move from a place of being beloved, not from a place of trying to be enough. Let this mercy settle into the corners of my soul where shame once lingered. Let it soften the places hardened by disappointment. Let it restore the pieces of me that feel worn out by all the effort. Let it interrupt my cycles of self-blame and perfectionism. Let it breathe into the moments I would rather forget and gently remind me that nothing is wasted when it is placed in your hands. And when I am tempted to punish myself for not being further along, remind me that mercy walks with me, not behind me. It does not wait until I arrive at some invisible standard. It walks beside me every step, offering reminders that I am loved even here. Even now, even in this unfinished state, let this awareness shape how I treat myself today. Let it soften the way I speak to my own soul. Let it influence how I move through every task, every conversation, every pause. Lord, I ask for more than a passing feeling. I ask for a posture of mercy, a way of being that does not depend on how well things go, but on how deeply I remember you are near. Let this posture protect me from the harshness of my own expectations. Let it guide me when I want to measure success by how productive I am instead of how present I am with you. Let mercy be the filter through which I see myself today, and others too. Teach me to extend what I have received, to pause before I judge, to listen before I assume, to offer the benefit of the doubt even when I feel justified in being offended. Let your mercy toward me be the starting point for the way I interact with the world around me. Let it make me more gentle, more patient, more open. Not because I am trying to prove something, but because I am full of something that cannot help but spill over. And when I feel I have reached the end of my capacity, remind me that mercy is not a resource I manufacture, is one I receive and release. You are the source, and you never run dry. Your kindness does not depend on mine. Your goodness is not a reflection of my mood. Your mercy remains even when mine fails. So when I cannot muster compassion, when I feel empty inside, when I forget everything I just prayed, remind me to return not to guilt but to grace. God, you are the author of mornings. You invented the rhythm of ending and beginning. You created time not to pressure me, but to give me space to start again. And that is what I choose today, a fresh start. Not built on denial of what has been hard, but built on hope that you are doing something new, even in what looks the same. I trust that healing is happening even when I do not feel different yet. I trust that you are redeeming what I cannot see and restoring what I thought was gone. Let the light of this morning not just warm my skin, but wake up my spirit. Let it be a signal to my soul that this is a day you have made, and I am invited to live in it fully. Not cautiously, not fearfully, not weighed down by yesterday, but freely, lightly, fully awake to the fact that mercy has already gone ahead of me and will meet me again when this day ends. So I walk into this morning not bracing for impact, but opening my hands. Not rehearsing regrets, but receiving renewal. Not calculating how to do everything right, but trusting that I am already held. Let mercy be the atmosphere I breathe and the anchor I hold. Let it be the banner over this day and the beginning of how I speak, think, move, and rest. You are not asking me to earn this. You are asking me to trust you with it. And that is what I choose right now. I choose to breathe deep and remember I am not behind. I am not lost. I am not forgotten. I am waking up into mercy, and mercy will carry me from here. Father, as I begin this new day embraced by mercy, I feel the quiet invitation to go deeper, not to rest in the truth of your grace, but to allow it to dismantle the false structures I have lived inside for so long. One of them has wrapped itself so tightly around me, I almost mistook it for part of who I am. But I see it now. The pressure to be perfect. The unspoken demand to always perform, always get it right, always appear unshaken, even when I am falling apart inside. God, this perfectionism has followed me like a shadow. It sneaks into the way I pray, the way I work, the way I speak, the way I try to love. It convinces me that if I do not get everything exactly right, I will be unworthy of love or disqualified from purpose. It tells me that mistakes make me less valuable, and that weakness must be hidden at all costs. It leaves no room for rest, no room for failure, no room for grace. And I know now it is not from you. You are not a taskmaster demanding flawlessness. You are a father who delights in my progress, not my performance. You are not waiting to catch me in failure, but longing to meet me in my humanity. You do not love the polished version of me more than the real me. You do not require perfection before presence. And I want to start living like that is true. Lord, I have wasted so much energy trying to be enough. I have measured my worth by outcomes and compared my journey to everyone else's highlight reels. I have set impossible standards and then criticized myself for not meeting them. I have treated rest like laziness and vulnerability like weakness. I have hustled for acceptance and hidden my flaws behind a mask of capability. But the mask is heavy and the hustle is exhausting, and I am done pretending. I want to unlearn this pressure. I want to let go of the inner critic that never rests. I want to live from love, not for it. I want to create space in my soul where mistakes are met with kindness and setbacks are not seen as shameful. I want to believe that imperfection is not an obstacle to connection, but a doorway into deeper intimacy with you. You never asked me to be perfect. You asked me to be present. You never demanded flawlessness. You offered fullness. You said your power is made perfect not in my strength, but in my weakness. And I want to stop resisting that. I want to stop covering what you came to redeem. I want to stop hiding the cracks where your light wants to shine through. So I lay down the obsession with getting it all right. I lay down the unrealistic goals that steal my joy. I lay down the expectations that crush my spirit. I lay down the guilt I carry for being human. I lay down the fear of being seen too clearly. I lay down the belief that I am only as good as my last success. I lay it all down not just once, but again and again each time it rises back up to claim me. Help me, Father, to see myself through your eyes. Not as a project to be fixed, but as a person to be loved. Not as a list of accomplishments or failures, but as a beloved child still in process. Still becoming, still being shaped by grace. Help me to meet my own eyes in the mirror and not flinch. Help me to offer compassion to the parts of me that are still learning. Still healing, still growing into the truth. Teach me how to speak to myself the way you speak to me, with tenderness, not accusation, with correction, not condemnation, with patience, not pressure. Let my inner dialogue become a place of peace, not war. Let me hear your voice echoing inside me louder than the voice that says I am never enough. And when I fall short, remind me that I am still loved. When I forget what I promised, remind me that you never forget who I am. When I miss the mark, remind me that mercy rewrites the story. When I feel ashamed, remind me that you are not. You are not ashamed of me. You are not frustrated by my pace. You are not disappointed in my progress. You are simply here loving me as I am and leading me where I am meant to go. God, I do not want to let perfectionism rob me of joy anymore. I do not want it to delay obedience or silence my voice. I do not want it to stop me from showing up fully because I am afraid I will not measure up. I want to live free. I want to try things and fail and learn and laugh. I want to live from the abundance of being yours, not from the fear of not being enough. So if my voice trembles when I speak, use it anyway. If my hands shake when I act, strengthen them with grace. If my words are messy and my steps uncertain, let that be part of the testimony. Let others see the beauty of your strength in my stumbling, not just in my victories. Let the imperfections preach louder than any polished version ever could, because that is where your glory shines best, in the cracks, in the weakness, in the story that is still being written. Lord, I want to live today with room to breathe, with space to be human, with gentleness toward my own soul. I want to take off the weight of constant pressure and walk lightly in the rhythm of grace. I want to stop measuring myself by metrics that do not matter in your kingdom. Let today be less about achieving and more about abiding. Less about impressing and more about encountering you, in the realness of now. Help me celebrate progress over perfection, to notice the small wins, to be proud of growth that happens quietly, to honor the effort even when the outcome is not what I hoped. Help me forgive myself quickly and move forward with purpose. Help me to live this day with an open heart, not a clenched fist, to breathe in peace and breathe out fear, to remember that I am not on trial. I am already accepted. You delight in me even when I do not impress. You sing over me even when I am silent. You draw close even when I feel distant. You are not keeping score. You are keeping me, holding me, guiding me, loving me with a consistency that perfection could never earn and failure can never erase. So I choose this morning to live free, to live real, to let go of the burden of perfection and embrace the beauty of process. I am still becoming, but I am already loved. And that is enough for today. Father, now that I have laid down the weight of perfection and opened my heart to the gentleness of grace, I begin to feel something shift inside me. It is not loud or sudden, but steady and undeniable. It is a stirring and awakening, a soft nudge, the direction of movement, as if something dormant is being called to rise again, not in fear, but in faith, not in striving, but in trust. And I recognize that nudge as you. You are not just comforting me to leave me still. You are not just healing me so I can remain safe. You are preparing me to step into what comes next. Not rushed, not forced, but drawn forward. Called out, moved from waiting to walking, from shelter to sky. And as terrifying as it feels, part of me is ready. Lord, I confess that comfort has been both a gift and a trap. I have needed it. I have clung to it. I have curled up in the safety of stillness and told myself it was wisdom, when sometimes it was fear. I stayed in the nest because it was familiar, because it kept me from falling, because I thought if I just waited long enough, I would finally feel fully ready. But now I see that the nest is not meant to be permanent. It was always a place of preparation, not of permanence. You have been building courage in me, while I thought I was just surviving. You have been strengthening my wings, while I assumed I was broken. And now you are whispering that it is time to move, not because I have figured it all out, because I am not alone, because you are the wind beneath me, and the ground beneath me, and the hands that will catch me when I fall. Because the sky that once looked so overwhelming is the very place I was made to soar. But still I hesitate. Still I hear the voice that says I will fail, that I will look foolish, that I will regret stepping out. Still I feel the fear rise in my chest like a wave threatening to pull me back into safety. And that is where I need you again. I need you to remind me that obedience does not require the absence of fear, only the presence of trust. I need you to remind me that falling is not the opposite of flying, it is part of the process. That you are the kind of Father who lets me leap, and who also lifts me when I cannot find my wings. God, give me the courage to say yes before I feel qualified. Give me the boldness to move before I am certain of the outcome. Give me the faith to take the next step even when I do not know where it will lead. Help me not to confuse security with stagnation. Help me not to stay stuck just because moving forward feels vulnerable. Help me to believe that what you have placed in me was never meant to stay hidden. You have written dreams in me that I have buried under layers of fear. You have whispered ideas that I have dismissed as unrealistic. You have placed desires in my heart that scare me, because they are bigger than my ability to control. But I want to believe that if you gave the dream, you will give the wings. That if you called me out, you will meet me on the way. That if you are pushing me from the nest, it is not to punish me, but to release me. Let me not wait for a map when you have already said go. Let me not keep asking for confirmation when you have already spoken peace. Let me not stay paralyzed in preparation when what you are asking for is participation. Let me rise even if I rise slowly. Let me trust even if my hands tremble. Let me begin even if the beginning is small and messy. Let me fly even if I falter. Let me move because you are with me, not because I feel ready. Lord, I know that movement will not always look like momentum. Some days it will be tiny steps. Some days it will be choosing to try again. Some days it will be speaking when I would rather stay silent. Some days it will be resting when everything screams to push harder. Let me honor all of it. Let me call it all courage. Let me believe that obedience in any form is still flight in your eyes. And when others do not understand, when they question why I'm leaving, what looked safe, remind me that I am not living for their approval. I am living from your calling. When I cannot explain why this step matters, remind me that purpose does not always come with explanation. Sometimes it just comes with a yes. When the winds are strong and the sky feels too big, remind me that you made both the storm and the stillness, and you are Lord over them all. Let me fly not to impress but to obey, not to arrive quickly but to follow faithfully, not to be seen but to be sent. Let the sound of your voice be louder than the fear of the fall. Let the memory of your faithfulness be stronger than the grip of hesitation. Let the fire of your spirit ignite something in me that no doubt can extinguish. God, I want to live moved by compassion, moved by truth, moved by the whisper of your spirit when the world shouts otherwise. I want to live light, not just in burden, but in readiness. I want to live forward, not stuck in what was, but leaning into what could be. I want to live with open hands and lifted eyes, not fixed on the nest, but focused on the sky. You did not call me to safety. You called me to surrender. You did not create me to stay grounded in fear, but to rise in faith. You did not save me just to shelter me. You saved me to send me. And though my voice may shake and my steps may falter, I say yes again. Yes to the unknown. Yes to the wind. Yes to the wide open that only you can fill. So today I choose to trust the push. I choose to believe that when the nest feels too small, it is not punishment, it is preparation. I choose to believe that you are calling me higher, not because I have earned it, but because you are leading me there. I choose to believe that even in the fear I can move. Even in the trembling I can fly. Even in the falling I will find you again and again and again. Let my yes be louder than my fear. Let my wings stretch wider than my doubts. Let this leap be less about where I land and more about who I trust. Because you are not just the God of the nest. You are the God of the sky. And this morning I rise to meet you there. Lord, just as I begin to rise, as my soul leans into your calling, I find myself stepping into unfamiliar terrain. The sky is wide and beautiful, but the land beneath feels untamed. This place I am walking into feels like a wilderness, not in the sense of being lost, but in the way of being led into something wild, something sacred, something that requires more trust than I have ever known. And I feel you here more than ever, not with answers, but with presence, not with a map, but with manna enough for each moment. Father, this season feels like a stripping away of what I thought I needed: comfort, predictability, approval, routines that made me feel in control. I thought I needed the clarity of direction, but what you seem to be asking is clarity of devotion. I want the road signs, and you are offering me the cloud. I want guarantees, and you are inviting me into daily dependence. This is not the journey I imagined, but somehow I know is the one that will lead me to you. God, the wilderness feels raw. It exposes things I did not know were still inside me. Fear I thought I buried. Insecurities I thought I had healed. Control I thought I had surrendered. Here in this untamed place, everything feels louder. My thoughts, my questions, my doubts. And yet even louder than all of them is the still small voice calling me deeper, telling me I am not here by accident, whispering that wilderness is not abandon, it is invitation. You have brought me here not to punish me, but to prepare me, to teach me the rhythm of reliance, to slow me down so I can listen again, to lead me away from the noise so I can recognize your whisper. And as I sit in this place of in-between, no longer who I was, not yet who I will become, I am learning to walk by faith, not by sight. I am learning to breathe even when the path disappears. I am learning that trust is not built in certainty, but in surrender. Lord, I do not need to see the next 5 steps. I only need to hold your hand for the next one. I do not need to understand the outcome. I only need to remain open to your presence. I do not need to be fearless. I only need to be willing. And if I find myself wandering, you will be the one comes after me. If I falter, you will be the one who carries me. If I forget who I am, you will speak my name again until I remember. Here in the wilderness, I am discovering that you are not just the God of destination. You are the God of the in-between, the God of the slow becoming, the God of dusty roads and daily bread, the God who meets me not when I have arrived, but when I am most unsure. You walk with me not because I have earned your nearness, but because it is who you are. You are Emmanuel, God with me even here. And somehow that is enough, even when the questions remain, even when the nights feel long, even when my soul aches for signs. You are enough, not because the wilderness is easy, but because you are present. Not because I always feel strong, but because you do not require strength, you ask for trust. You do not demand perfection. You desire surrender. Lord, let me not despise this place. Let me not waste the beauty hidden in the barrenness. Let me not rush through what you are trying to teach me here. Let me stay long enough to receive the gifts only wilderness can give. The gift of uncluttered faith, the gift of silence that births revelation, the gift of learning to love you without conditions, the gift of knowing that even when everything is uncertain, you are still faithful. Strip away what is false, uproot what is shallow, unravel what keeps me bound, and in its place plant something real, something rooted, something that can stand the storm. Build in me a trust that is not shaken by change, A devotion that is not distracted by discomfort. A heart that says yes even when it trembles. When I feel alone, remind me that you too walked into the wilderness. You too fasted in a lonely place. You too were tempted and tired, and yet did not turn away. You emerged not weaker, but fuller of the Spirit, ready to walk in the fullness of your calling. Let my wilderness be the place where you forge in me what comfort never could. Let it be the fire that purifies, not the storm that destroys. Give me daily bread, not for the week, not for the month, but for this day. Give me eyes to see the pillar of fire when night falls. Give me ears to hear the whisper behind me saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Give me a heart that still believes even when it has to believe without seeing. Give me the grace to remain when everything in me wants to run. You have not brought me here to leave me. You have not called me out to forget me. You have not spoken promises to abandon them. Your word is still true. Your presence is still here. Your hand is still leading. And so even in this unknown, even in this in-between, even in this sacred wild, I say again, I trust you. I trust that you know the way even when I do not. I trust that you are doing something in me, even when nothing around me makes sense. I trust that you are the same yesterday, today, and forever. I trust that this is not wasted, that you are working in the waiting, moving in the silence, building in the stillness. I trust that this wilderness is not the end, but a beginning. So God, help me to stay, to watch, to listen, to receive. Help me to lean in instead of pulling back. Help me to speak faith when fear rises. Help me to remember that wilderness is not the absence of you, but the invitation to know you more. Let this season soften me, not harden me. Let it teach me intimacy, not isolation. Let it shape in me a story that glorifies you even in its unfinishedness. And when the road opens up again, when the path becomes clear, when the time comes to move from this place, let me carry with me the lessons learned here. Let me never forget the tenderness I discovered when I had no one but you. Let me remember that wilderness did not break me, it built me. That in the dust and silence you taught me how to truly live. Father, this is sacred ground. Not because it is easy, but because you are here. Not because it looks like blessing, but because it is becoming one. Not because I planned for it, but because you prepared me for it. And though I may not know what comes next, I know who holds me now. And that is enough to keep walking even here. God, sometimes the hardest step to take is the one right after trust. When I say I believe you, when I declare I will follow you anywhere, and then wake up to silence, to ordinary hours, to uncertainty that quietly knocks at the back of my thoughts. The wilderness was a place of stripping, but this season feels like refining. The storms have calmed, but the stillness is louder than thunder. I am not lost, but I am not fully found either. I walk and I wait. I breathe and I hope. And still, I feel the tremble inside. Father, I bring you this fragile faith, not because it is enough on its own, but because you said it only needs to be as small as a mustard seed. I place it in your hands like a flickering candle in the wind, and trust that you let it die out. I am not ashamed of its weakness, because I believe you delight more in honesty than in strength. I do not come to impress you. I come because I need you. not to fix what is broken in me immediately, but to sit with me in it. Lord, teach me not to fear when faith does not roar, when it is more whisper than war cry, when I do not wake up filled with confidence, but only a quiet willingness to try again. Remind me that trust is not measured in noise, but in returning to you again and again, in the small things, the slow steps, the silent agreements that say, I still believe, even when I barely do. You know every unspoken hesitation in my heart. You know how I smile on the outside while holding questions behind my teeth. You know the nights I lie awake wondering if I missed you somewhere along the way. But you also know how I have not let go, how I have stayed, how even in my weariness I have leaned in. You see the trembling yes in me, and you honor it as worship. God, meet me in the in-between, where conviction is not yet courage, where belief is still becoming boldness. Let your Spirit breathe life into what feels dormant. Let the breath of heaven remind my soul that you are not rushed, and you are never absent, that even now, in this gentle and fragile faith, you are deeply at work. Father, help me to release the shame I sometimes carry for not feeling on fire every day. Let me see that consistency in seeking you is its own act of devotion, that showing up in prayer even when the words are few, even when the passion wanes, is a kind of sacred perseverance. You are not waiting for a performance. You are inviting my presence. Lord, I know you are not disappointed in my fragility. You never asked me to be flawless. You asked me to come, to abide, to lean in when I am unsure, to walk when I do not have wings. So here I am. Again, not because I am full of clarity, but because I am full of longing for you to meet me where I am and take me deeper into where you are. Help me not to compare my journey to others. I do not want borrowed faith. I want something real between us. And if real means raw, if it means awkward pauses and uncertain prayers, then so be it. I would rather stumble toward you honestly than sprint in pretense, because I know you are a God who honors the stumble, who steadies the weak, who kneels beside the broken-hearted and calls them blessed. Father, let me find beauty in this slow building. I do not want just moments of fire. I want a life that burns steady, even when the wind howls. Teach me that deep roots grow slowly, that faith does not have to feel loud to be alive, that the most powerful prayers are sometimes the quietest cries of God. Help me stay. Lord, give me eyes to see the growth I can yet measure. Give me grace to celebrate progress, even when it is hidden beneath the surface. Let me not despise the days of small beginnings, the quiet mornings where I still choose you, the gentle yes whispered into a weary soul. Let those be holy in your sight. Let those be enough. And God, if I am honest, sometimes I still wonder if you will come through, not because you have failed me, but because I have grown tired of hoping without seeing, tired of praying without answers, tired of standing when the ground feels unsteady. But even in that fatigue, I still find myself turning toward you. That is how I know you have kept me. You have not let my heart drift too far. You are holding it even now. So hold me still when I can run. Hold me when I can shout. Let my silence be a sanctuary. when I can plan tomorrow. Help me to show up for today. When I can feel joy, let peace be enough. I may not always be full of strength, but I can be full of surrender. I can bring you what I have, no matter how small. Father, remind me that fragile does not mean fake, that trembling does not mean traitor, that fear does not mean failure, that even the disciples, walking with you in the flesh, still doubted, still sank, still fled in weakness, and you loved them still. You restored them. You called them anyway, and you are calling me too. Lord, when I see only weakness, remind me you see worship. When I see delay, remind me you see development. When I feel behind, remind me you are never in a hurry, that your timing is not punishment, but protection, that every no and not yet is part of something wiser, kinder, deeper than I can comprehend. God, if this is the season where my faith is not grand but grounded, not spectacular but steady, let it be so. Let me live planted, not just passionate. Let me become a person of depth, not just declarations. Let me walk closely with you, even when no one else sees it, even when the crowd has moved on, even when the applause has faded. Let our connection be my reward. And if all I can do is whisper your name today, let that be my anthem. If all I can offer is a tired heart, let it be an altar. If all I can say is, I am here, let it be enough. Because you are not moved by eloquence. You are moved by honesty. You are not drawn to perfection. You are drawn to humility. And you are near to the one who cries out even with fragile faith. God, in this stillness where the breath of yesterday lingers, I come to you with a heart full of questions I cannot answer. I trace the thoughts that rise like mist before clarity, and I realize how deeply I fear the unknown. The future looms like an unfinished sentence I am too afraid to complete. It stretches before me like a vast ocean, with no map, no stars, no voice telling me which direction leads to safety. And yet, even in that trembling, I hear the whisper that has followed me through every night. You are here. You have always been here, even in the moments I thought I had been abandoned. In the hallway of uncertainty, in the waiting room of delayed dreams, you sat beside me. You were not shouting directions or demanding answers. You were simply present, silent, steady, unshaken. And now, Father, I am learning that perhaps faith is not knowing the outcome, but knowing the one who walks with me through it. I confess that I have tried to write the script of my life with a tight grip, anxious to control the next scene, the next line, the next cue. I rehearsed my fears like lines in a play, hoping that memorizing pain would somehow protect me from its return. But it has not. It only made the silence heavier, the days dimmer. The fear of not knowing became the louder God, drowning out your gentle invitation to trust. So here I am, holding that fear in my hands, naming it, not with shame, but with honesty. I am afraid of missing my purpose. I am afraid of wasting my days. I am afraid of not being enough. I am afraid of loss, of failure, of loneliness. I lay these fears before you now, not because I have conquered them, because I believe you can carry what I cannot. Lord, teach me to breathe deeply in the mystery. Help me to live today without demanding tomorrow as answers. Help me to trust that you are writing a story where nothing is wasted, not even the pain. I want to rest in the unknown, not because it is safe, but because you are sovereign over it. You stand outside of time. What is hidden from me is not hidden from you. What is uncertain to me is already resolved in your wisdom. Let my soul find peace not in clarity, but in communion. Let my restless thoughts become still in your presence. Help me to accept that I may never understand everything, but I am still called to walk forward in faith. Not everything that matters is visible. Not every step will feel secure. But if you are in it, then I will walk. There is something sacred about trusting you without seeing the end. Like Abraham leaving his home without knowing where he was going. Like Mary saying yes to a promise that made no earthly sense. Like Peter stepping onto water because your voice told him to come. These were not blind leaps. They were brave choices to trust the one who sees all. Let me follow that legacy, not with trembling knees, but with a heart awakened to your nearness. God, quiet the voice of panic within me. Mute the whispers that say, I must solve everything or I will fail. Remind me that you are not impressed by my performance, but moved by my surrender. You never asked me to be perfect, you only asked me to follow. So even now, with the fog still thick and the outcome still blurred, I take the next step, not because I see where I am going, but because I know you are leading. You are the lamp to my feet, not the floodlight to my future. And that is enough. Hold me steady, Lord, when my mind spins with what ifs and why nots. Pull me back when I wander into cycles of analysis and fear. Replace my striving with stillness, my panic with peace. Show me how to live faithfully in the now without being paralyzed by the next. Every day has enough trouble of its own, and today's grace is enough for today's need. I trust you to be my portion in the waiting, my anchor in the uncertainty, my guide in the silence. You have always known the way, even when I forgot there was one, and you are not surprised by where I am. You are not disappointed by my struggle. You are simply calling me back to you, back to trust, back to love that casts out fear. And so I return, not with perfect faith, but with honest need. I place my unknowns in your hands, and I place myself there too. If all I have today is this prayer and this breath, then let both rise to you like incense. Let them be enough. Let me be enough. Let you be everything. Lord, in this quiet moment I continue to rest in the mystery of what I do not see. Yet I feel your nearness like the warmth of morning, light through the window. I do not need to understand every detail when I know you are present in the unfolding. The questions that once tied me in knots now seem quieter. Not because I solved them, because I handed them over to the one who holds all things together. You are not a distant observer to my confusion. You are the gentle voice in the fog, the steady hand in my shaking, the peace that surpasses the logic I used to trust. Today, I do not ask for clarity, but for communion. I do not chase answers, but intimacy. I do not run ahead. I stay here, in your presence, until my heartbeat aligns with yours. There is a stillness in my soul that did not come from the absence of trouble, but from the overwhelming assurance of your control. Even as the world moves fast and demands faster decisions, I have found rest in waiting on you. You are not in the chaos. You are not in the whirlwind of my thoughts. You are in the whisper. You are in the pause. You are in the moment when I close my eyes. Breathe deep and know I am not alone. My striving yields nothing eternal, but my surrender gives birth to everything I was made for. You did not design me to bear the weight of my own life. You fashioned me to walk hand in hand with the one who gives breath to every living thing. Father, I do not want to be numb to your nudges or too busy to notice your nearness. Teach me to recognize the sacredness of silence, the beauty of unhurried prayer, the gift of simply being with you without needing to produce or prove anything. The world tells me to hustle harder, but you call me to sit longer. The pressure to perform is strong, but your invitation to abide is stronger. And so I turn down the noise today. I turn off the inner critic. I cancel the meeting with fear. I stop striving to fix what only your spirit can heal. Instead, I lean into the stillness, trusting that something holy is happening beneath the surface. Roots grow deep in quiet soil. God, let my heart be fertile ground for your whisper. I do not want a loud life if it drowns out the sound of your voice. Speak, even if it is only a sentence. Move, even if it is in stillness. Touch me, even if it is only to steady me. Your presence is enough, more than provision, more than promotion, more than applause. You are the reason I keep breathing when I do not know what tomorrow holds. And in this sacred stillness, I begin to hear things differently. I begin to see differently, not with eyes fixed on outcomes, with a soul attuned to presence. And here, in this quiet, I am undone by the simplicity of knowing you are near. Let this be the space where transformation begins, not in the noise of declarations, but in the hush of surrender. Let every unspoken fear melt in the light of your gaze. Let every unanswered question become less urgent. Let every ache find comfort not in explanation, but in embrace. I do not need to be rescued from the process. I need to be reminded that you are in it. And that is enough. That has always been enough. Father, from the quiet I have learned to love. I notice how quickly my mind tries to sprint again. The stillness begins to settle, and yet familiar circuits start to spark. Old pathways that promise safety, but only lead me back to the same exhausting maze. I feel the tug of patterns that once ruled me, the inner whirl that loops through what if and why not, and I know I cannot stay free by willpower alone. I need you to teach my thoughts a new rhythm. I do not want to live as a captive to invisible currents. I do not want to be carried by an underflow of fear while my face appears calm. I come to you because I am tired of rehearsing harm before hope, tired of rehearsing failure while calling it wisdom. Break the script that keeps repeating. Unwind the thread that ties my heart to dread. Guide me out of the circles and onto a clear, honest path. Lord, help me notice the first small turn of the wheel. Show me the moment a harmless thought starts gathering speed. The subtle click when caution becomes control. The blink when memory shifts into accusation. Give me grace to pause at the gate instead of racing down the tunnel. Give me strength to breathe rather than brace, to answer the loop by a steady return to your nearness. I bring you the habits that formed when I felt unprotected. I bring you the charts I draw in the dark, the forecasts that never come true but still wear me down. I bring you the inner debates that steal my mornings, the lists that grow as my peace grows thin. I surrender the private courtroom where I act as judge, witness, and accused. Teach me to choose gentleness over judgment. Teach me to choose trust over tallying risks beyond me. God, write new sentences in my mind where the loop says I am late. Speak timeliness where the loop says I am behind. Speak belonging where the loop says I must predict every outcome. Speak daily bread where the loop says I broke what cannot be repaired. Speak restoration that begins with mercy and moves with patience. Let your word become the rail that holds me steady, one true line that carries me forward when the spiral tries to pull me down. I ask for practical grace, not only holy fire, but holy habits. Let me start the day with a simple check of the heart before I check the tasks. Let me name what I feel without letting it take the throne. Let me set boundaries for my attention so my thoughts do not crowd each other in a narrow room. Let me step away to watch light on the wall and remember time is a gift, not a threat. Father, teach me the discipline of interruption when the loop tightens. Help me stand up, stretch, drink water, step outside, and remember the sky when the loop whispers disaster. Help me count present graces with my fingers until the music of gratitude interrupts the drone. When the loop lists what I cannot control, help me place my palm over my chest and remember the one who steadies my breath. I do not want to insult your care by acting as if I am alone with my mind. You are with me in the hallway of thought. You walk with me between idea and choice. You nudge me toward the small sane step, the quiet answer that endures. You are not asking me to silence every echo. You are teaching me to tune my ear for the note of truth within the noise. And slowly I hear it, a low, kind tone that keeps returning me to peace. Lord, free me from the lie that constant thinking equals faithful living. Faithful living is attentive living. Responsive living. Surrendered living. Help me give attention to what is real before me, the face near me, the task in my hands, the grace available now. Let me practice presence until presence becomes the pattern and panic loses its grip. Where the loop tells me to hurry, set my pace by your patience. Where the loop tells me to hide, clothe me in courage that is gentle, not grand. Where the loop tells me to explain, teach me to rest in being known already. Where the loop tells me to replay the day, lead me to release it to the night and wake unburdened. Let every loop be met by a blessing, every circle answered by a straight and simple way. God, I choose a different motion today, not spinning but walking, not clenching but opening, not rehearsing harm but receiving help. I anchor my mind to what is true, to what builds rather than breaks, to what brings light not glare. I ask you to keep me teachable, to correct me without crushing me, to invite me when I resist, to lift me when my steps grow heavy. Let patience settle over me like dawn light across calm water now. And when I forget and the wheel begins again, meet me quickly. Let remembering be faster than spiraling. Let my return be shorter than my wandering. Let the muscle of trust grow through honest repetition, so that the path back to peace is worn and welcoming. Hold me to the pace of love. Hold me to the clarity of this hour. Hold me, and with each steady breath, make all things new within my thinking. Lord, in this quiet moment I continue to rest in the mystery of what I do not see. Yet I feel your nearness like the warmth of morning light through the window. I do not need to understand every detail when I know you are present in the unfolding. The questions that once tied me in knots now seem quieter. Not because I solved them, because I handed them over to the one who holds all things together. You are not a distant observer to my confusion. You are the gentle voice in the fog, the steady hand in my shaking, the peace that surpasses the logic I used to trust. Today, I do not ask for clarity, but for communion. I do not chase answers, but intimacy. I do not run ahead. I stay here, in your presence, until my heartbeat aligns with yours. I lift my thoughts to you and let them float like leaves on a stream. Carried by a current I no longer try to control. I place the weight of my need to understand onto your shoulders and find that they were never mine to carry. You speak in silence. You heal in stillness. You rebuild what striving has broken. So I settle into your embrace and breathe again. Lord, I reflect on how long I have lived in the clamor of my own thoughts, thinking that activity meant progress, that noise meant life. But now I find the deep power in stillness. I stretch toward it the way flowers lean into the sun. You are not rushing. You are not overwhelmed, so why should I be? Teach me to walk at the pace of grace, not performance. Help me notice the beauty in what is small, sacred in what is slow. Even when nothing seems to be changing outwardly, I trust that you are moving in secret. You work in layers I cannot see. Your timing is never rushed, never delayed. While I wait, you shape me. While I pause, you prepare me. I stop striving not because I am lazy, but because I finally believe you are enough. I let go of the myth that I must always be doing something to be worthy. I release the guilt I have carried for resting, as if rest were rebellion. You are the God who modeled rest, who blessed the seventh day. You call me not into burnout, but into being. The world may scream for urgency, but you whisper eternity. You are not anxious. You are not panicked, so I anchor myself in you. I breathe more deeply. I trust more fully. I listen more carefully. And in this posture of surrender, I find strength not my own. I find a wisdom that bypasses understanding. I find renewal that does not depend on circumstances. The waiting becomes worship. The silence becomes sanctuary. The pause becomes praise. I no longer view stillness as absence, but as attention. It is not nothing, it is presence. It is choosing to behold what I had been too busy to see. The way light dances across the table. The way a breeze brushes against my skin. The way you gently nudge my spirit to notice that I am not alone. In stillness, I meet you not as a taskmaster, but as a tender friend. You do not rush me out of my weakness. You sit with me in it. You do not demand that I be strong. You become my strength, so I let go of the need to pretend. I release the mask of control. I open my clenched fists and raise them slowly. Palms up, like sails catching wind, ready to be moved by your breath alone. This is how I will begin again, not with a plan, but with peace. Not with a checklist, but with confidence in you. Not with fear of what could go wrong, but faith in who you are. I no longer panic when the path is unclear, because I trust the one who guides it. I may not know what is next, but I know who goes before me. I may not feel strong, but I know where my help comes from. And that knowing is enough to still the storm within. So I remain here in your presence, unhurried, unafraid, undone by the nearness of the God who does not scold me for being still but meets me in it completely. Father, after laying down the inner vows that once shaped me, I feel both lighter and exposed. Freedom tastes new, but freedom also feels vulnerable. It is as if I am stepping out of armor that once kept me safe, only to realize that the air touches wounds still tender. Yet I know that you are calling me to trust not in my own defenses, but in your covering. You are teaching me that true safety is not found in control, but in surrender. And though surrender feels like breaking, perhaps this breaking is the doorway to healing I have long resisted. God, you know how tightly I have clung to self-made strength. You know the nights I rehearsed solutions, the mornings I braced for battles that never came, the countless hours I spent planning for disasters that lived only in my imagination. You know how much I have tried to be my own protector, my own provider, my own savior. And you know how heavy it has been. My shoulders ache from carrying burdens I was never meant to hold. My mind is weary from fighting wars that were never mine to win. My heart is tired from promising myself that I would never break again. But here I am, breaking not from despair, but from release. Lord, I admit that part of me fears this surrender. If I let go, who will catch me? If I stop fighting, will I be overcome? If I stop building walls, will I be left exposed? But even as I ask these questions, I sense the truth rising gently within me. It is you. It has always been you. You are the one who holds me when I collapse, the one who fights for me when I am too weak, the one who shields me without crushing me. I am not falling into emptiness. I am falling into your arms. This breaking point is not the end of me, it is the beginning of being remade. Father, I no longer want to live half-trusting. I no longer want to give you my words, but keep my hands clenched tight. I no longer want to nod in prayer while hiding secret rooms of my heart. I want to open the locked doors. I want to set the hidden vows on fire. I want to bring the fragments of me into the light, even if it stings. Because only when I break can you rebuild. Only when I release can you refill. Only when I collapse can you carry. I remember the way seeds must break before they grow. The way clay must be pressed before it is shaped. The way a wound must be opened before it can be cleansed. Breaking is not the end. It is the beginning of transformation. And so, if this moment is my breaking point, then let it be holy. Let my surrender rise as incense. Let my weakness become worship. Let my tears water the soil where new life will spring forth. God, I am tired of holding up the facade. I am tired of pretending to be strong when I am weary. I am tired of rehearsing answers when all I have are questions. I am tired of carrying armor that was never meant for me. Strip me down to what is real. Leave only what belongs to you. Take away the layers of pretense, the false strength, the brittle promises. Leave me raw, but leave me true. For I would rather be broken and in your hands than polished and far from your heart. Lord, teach me to see surrender not as weakness, but as wisdom. To know that releasing control is not the same as giving up, but giving in to your goodness, your timing, your faithfulness. Teach me that breaking is not something to fear, but something to embrace when it leads me closer to you. I do not need to fear the fall when I know who waits at the bottom. I do not need to fear the cracks when I know who fills them with light. I do not need to fear the silence when I know who speaks in whispers. Father, I stretch out my hands, empty but open. I release the battles I cannot win. I release the timelines I cannot control. I release the image of who I thought I had to be. I release the vow to never break again. And in releasing, I find relief. My chest feels lighter. My breath feels deeper. My soul feels freer. For the first time in so long, I sense that I do not have to hold everything together. You are holding me. You are holding the pieces. You are holding the story. And that is enough. God, let this breaking point be the moment where fear loses its grip. Let this be the hour when shame no longer dictates my steps. Let this be the turning where I finally live from love instead of from fear. Let this surrender be not a pause, but a beginning. Let it open space for joy, for peace, for courage. Let it draw me into intimacy with you, the kind of closeness that striving could never achieve. I do not want to live resisting anymore. I want to live released. So here I am, Father, arms open, heart bare, spirit willing. I surrender the past, the present, and the future. I surrender the known and the unknown. I surrender the questions and the silence. I surrender the fear of breaking, and I choose to trust the one who rebuilds. Let this be the moment that marks me forever, not for how strong I was, but for how fully I fell into your strength. Father, after surrendering at the breaking point, something shifts within me. The air feels lighter, as though a burden I carried for years has finally been lifted from my shoulders. What once felt like collapse now feels like release. What once felt like an ending now carries the fragrance of beginning. In the silence that follows surrender, I discover not emptiness, but renewal. You have not left me in pieces. You are building something stronger from the fragments. And in this quiet strength, I sense the dawn of new confidence, not rooted in myself, but anchored in you, Lord. For so long I confused confidence with control. I thought certainty was the fuel of courage, that only when I had everything figured out could I stand tall. But here, on the other side of surrender, I realize confidence is not knowing the path. is knowing the one who walks it with me. Confidence is not the absence of fear, it is choosing trust in the presence of fear. Confidence is not the perfection of my steps, it is the persistence of following your voice. Even when my knees tremble, this kind of confidence cannot be manufactured. It can only be received. God, I remember how I once prayed timidly, afraid that I might be asking too much or expecting too little. I hesitated, uncertain if you truly listened to every word. But you remind me that boldness in prayer is not arrogance, is intimacy. You delight when I come close. You draw near when I lift my voice. You rejoice when I ask with faith, even faith that feels fragile. And so I lift my requests without shame, because I trust the one I am speaking to. I believe that your heart is good, that your hand is strong, and that your will is kind, even when I do not see the full picture yet. Father, let this new confidence grow roots deep within me. Let it not be the shallow bravado that crumbles under pressure, but the steady assurance that holds firm in storms. Let it remind me that I do not need to shrink back in insecurity or push forward in striving. I only need to stand in the truth that I am yours. I am called. I am chosen. I am loved without measure. These truths are not shaky. They are eternal. And when I let them define me, I walk taller, not because of who I am, but because of who you are in me. Lord, I ask that you teach me to carry this confidence into the ordinary places, into conversations where I once stayed silent, into decisions where I once froze, into opportunities where I once doubted my worth. Let this confidence make me courageous in kindness, steadfast in truth, generous in love. Let it be evident not in loud declarations, but in quiet strength. Let it shine not in pride, but in peace. Let others see it and recognize that it is not of me, but of you, God. I no longer want to live small because of fear. I no longer want to dim my light because of doubt. I no longer want to hold back because of what might go wrong. You have shown me that confidence is not arrogance, and humility is not hiding. True humility is walking boldly because I trust the one who sent me. True confidence is stepping forward because I know you go before me. And so I choose today to walk in that truth. I choose to stop apologizing for being who you made me to be. I choose to stop minimizing the gifts you have entrusted to me. I choose to stand, not in self-assurance, but in God assurance. Father, let this confidence guard me when accusations arise. Let it steady me when criticism stings. Let it remind me that my worth is not on trial. Let it protect me from comparison, from jealousy, from the lie that I am less because someone else shines. Teach me to celebrate without envy, to persevere without striving, to remain rooted when the winds of opinion shift. Let this confidence make me unshakable, not because I am flawless, but because my foundation is firm. Lord, let this be the dawn of a new way of living. Not hesitant, but wholehearted. Not cautious, but courageous. Not clinging to control, but clinging to crest. Let me step into today with steady breath, lifted eyes, and open hands. Let me see every challenge as an invitation to trust, every moment as an opportunity to shine your light, Every step is a chance to grow deeper in love. I do not walk in my own strength anymore. I walk in yours. And that changes everything. Father, after finding new confidence and surrender, I sense you drawing me into something even more practical. Something steady. Something lived out not in moments of emotion, but in the rhythm of each day. Confidence is not meant to stay in the heart as a quiet flame. It is meant to shape my steps, my choices, my words, my responses. You are calling me to walk in daily obedience, not as a burden, but as a gift. Obedience is not the chain I once feared. It is the pathway of freedom. It is the way I align with the life you designed. The way I echo the love you keep pouring into me. Lord, too often I have thought of obedience as heavy, as if it meant losing myself, as if it meant living under rules without relationship. But you remind me obedience is the language of trust. It is not about proving my devotion. It is about expressing it. It is not about keeping score. It is about keeping close. When I obey, I am not just following commands. I am walking in step with the heartbeat of my Father. I am choosing to believe that your ways are higher than mine, that your wisdom is deeper, that your love has always known what is best. God, I bring to you the small moments where obedience is tested, not just in big decisions, but in the quiet corners of the day. When I am tempted to speak harshly, let obedience lead me to gentleness. When I am tempted to withdraw in fear, let obedience guide me to step forward in courage. When I am tempted to cling to control, let obedience help me to release. When I am tempted to measure my worth by what I achieve, let obedience remind me I am already enough in you. Daily obedience is not glamorous, but it is holy. It builds something strong in me that cannot be shaken. Father, confess that sometimes I hesitate because I want to see the outcome before I say yes. I want to know if it will be easy, if it will be safe, if it will be worth it. But you are not asking me to measure results. You are asking me to respond. You are not demanding perfection. You are inviting participation. Each step of obedience is a seed, and I may not see the harvest right away, but I know you are faithful to bring fruit in its season. My part is the yes. Your part is the growth. My part is surrender. Your part is transformation. Lord, give me the courage to obey even when it costs me, even when it requires me to let go of comfort, to forgive when I would rather hold on to anger, to give when I would rather keep, to stay when I want to run, to move when I want to stay safe. Teach me that obedience may sometimes feel costly in the moment, but it always leads to life. It always leads to peace. It always leads to deeper intimacy with you. Remind me that every act of obedience is a doorway into greater freedom. God, help me not to separate obedience from joy. Too often I have carried it like a burden, when in reality it is an invitation to walk lighter. When I say yes, I find that the weight of resistance falls away. When I align with you, my soul finds rest. When I trust and obey, I discover that obedience is not about restriction, but about release. It opens me to your blessing, not because I have earned it, but because I have positioned myself to receive it. Joy comes in the simple yes, in the quiet act of faithfulness, in the unseen choices that honor you. Father, I do not want to obey out of fear, but out of love. I do not want to live in compliance, but in communion. I do not want to reduce obedience to duty. I want it to become delight. Let me see obedience as my response to love so great it overwhelms me. Let me see it as the echo of grace that has already saved me. Let me see it as the song of a heart that has been set free. For when I love you, obedience becomes natural. When I trust you, obedience becomes joy. When I walk with you, obedience becomes the rhythm of my life. Lord, let obedience shape how I serve others. Let it teach me to listen more than I speak, to bless more than I demand, to give more than I expect to receive. Let it soften my pride, silence my need to always be right, and anchor me in humility. Let it help me love in ways that feel inconvenient, forgive in ways that feel impossible, and care in ways that stretch beyond myself. True obedience does not just transform my private life. It transforms how I show up in the world. It makes me a vessel of grace, a channel of peace, a reflection of the one I follow. God, let this daily obedience not be fueled by willpower alone, but by the Spirit within me. Left to myself, I falter, but with your Spirit I am strengthened. With your Spirit I am reminded. With your Spirit I am empowered to live what I cannot live on my own. Obedience is not me striving harder. It is me yielding deeper. It is me saying yes to the Spirit's promptings, yes to the whisper that guides, yes to the hand that leads. And when I fail, when I stumble, when I forget, obedience is also getting back up and returning to you without shame. Father, let today be marked not by grand gestures, but by faithful steps. Let obedience guide me in the words I speak, the thoughts I choose, the actions I take. Let it weave itself into the ordinary until my whole life becomes an offering. Let obedience be my love in motion, my faith made visible, my trust made tangible. Let it be the quiet strength that shapes me into who you designed me to be. And let it all point back to you, the one who calls, the one who leads, the one who is worthy of every yes. Father, as I walk in daily obedience, I begin to see how easily I overlook the hidden places of my heart. It is simple to follow you in the visible steps, the outward choices others notice, but harder to surrender the quiet corners where no one sees. Those corners hold lingering fears, unspoken doubts, buried desires I hesitate to name. Yet you remind me that obedience is not just about what others witness, it is about what I allow you to transform within. The strength I long for is not built on display, but in hidden surrender, where your Spirit meets me in secret. Lord, you search me and know me. You know the thoughts I do not speak, the motives behind my actions, the weight I carry behind my smile. Nothing is hidden from you, and still you do not turn away. Instead, you step gently into the secret places of my life, asking me to open doors I would rather keep locked. I confess that I have resisted this, afraid of what might be uncovered, afraid that the brokenness within me is too much. But you remind me that you do not expose to shame. You expose to heal. You uncover not to condemn, but to restore. And in that truth, I find courage to bring even the hidden places into your light. God, I see how often I have tried to manage appearances, Instead of pursuing transformation, I have polished what others could see while ignoring the places within that still cried out for freedom. I have obeyed outwardly while struggling inwardly, convincing myself that as long as the outside looked steady, the inside did not matter. But you are not satisfied with half my heart. You are not honored by surface-level devotion. You want truth in the innermost parts. You want surrender where no one else will ever see. That is the obedience that transforms. That is the surrender that brings strength. Father, I bring you the quiet patterns that keep me bound, the thoughts that circle late at night, the fears that whisper when I am alone, the habits that rob me of peace. I bring them not to hide them better, but to lay them down fully. I want to live whole, not fractured. I want to live free, not divided. I want to be the same in secret as I am in the light, the same when no one is watching as when the world has its eyes on me. Let my obedience in hidden places be worship that rises like incense, unseen by others but fragrant before you. Lord, give me strength that is not dependent on performance, strength that is not fragile when the spotlight fades, strength that is not shaken by criticism or inflated by praise. True strength is forged in hidden places, where faith is practiced without applause, where love is chosen without recognition, where surrender is offered without reward. Let me build a life that is rooted deeply enough to withstand any storm, because its foundation is not public approval, but private intimacy with you. God, help me not to despise the unseen seasons. Help me to treasure the quiet mornings, the unnoticed prayers, the uncelebrated acts of faithfulness. Remind me that you see in secret and reward openly. Remind me that the roots of a tree grow underground long, before its branches bear fruit. Remind me that what happens in hidden obedience today will shape the visible testimony of tomorrow. Give me patience to remain faithful in the small, trusting that nothing surrendered to you is ever wasted. Father, let this strength in hidden places flow outward into how I live among others. Let it steady my words so they are truthful, kind, and pure. Let it guide my choices so they align with integrity. Let it shape my responses so they reflect love, even when I am tempted toward anger or indifference. Let it give me the courage to be authentic, the humility to admit weakness, the grace to extend forgiveness. For when the hidden places are healed, the visible life becomes whole. Lord, today I choose not to chase appearances, but authenticity. Not to seek applause, but intimacy. Not to build a reputation, but a relationship with you. If all the world sees one thing, but you see another, then let it be that you see truth, you see surrender, you see love. For at the end of everything, it is not the eyes of people that matter most. It is your gaze alone, and in your gaze, I find the only approval my soul truly longs for. Father, after discovering strength in the hidden places, I feel you leading me deeper still, not only to live with integrity in secret, but to anchor my life in a hope that cannot be shaken. Hidden strength is not meant to remain quiet forever. It becomes the foundation upon which hope rises. And this hope is not fragile, not built on circumstances, not dependent on outcomes I can predict. It is hope anchored in who you are, in promises that cannot be broken, in a future that belongs to you alone. Lord, I confess how often I have placed my hope in shifting things. I have hoped in success, only to find that success fades. I have hoped in people, only to find that people fail. I have hoped in my own strength, only to find that strength runs dry. These anchors did not hold in storms. They slipped. They snapped. They left me adrift. But you, God, are not like them. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. You are steady when everything else trembles. You are faithful when everything else falters. You are the anchor my soul has been searching for all along. God, let this hope not be abstract, but alive in me. Let it wake me each morning with expectancy. Let it steady me when uncertainty rises. Let it remind me that no pain is wasted, no prayer is unheard, no tear is unseen. Let it remind me that the story is not over, that redemption is still unfolding, that resurrection is always possible. Hope is not naive, it is defiant. It stares at despair and still believes. It looks at ashes and still imagines beauty. It faces death and still trusts in life. Teach me to live with that kind of holy defiance, rooted not in denial but in your eternal promises. Father, I want this hope to shape the way I see everything. Let it shape the way I see my struggles not as walls, but as doorways. Let it shape the way I see my failures not as endings, but as beginnings. Let it shape the way I see my waiting not as wasted time, but as preparation. Let it shape the way I see the world not as hopelessly broken, but as a creation groaning for renewal. Let it shape the way I see myself not as too far gone, but as being transformed day by day into the image of Christ. When my perspective is filtered through hope, even shadows look different, because light is always near. Lord, I ask for hope that is not silent, but contagious. Let my life speak it even when my words are few. Let it spill into conversations with friends who feel weary. Let it shine through acts of kindness that seem small but echo eternity. Let it whisper in prayers spoken for those who cannot pray for themselves. Let it become a steady presence in my workplace, my family, my community, a quiet but unshakable reminder that despair does not get the final word. Let my life declare without preaching, there is always more grace, always more mercy, always more love, always more future in you. God, anchor me so deeply in this hope that no storm can uproot me. When the winds of fear blow, let me lean heavier into you. When waves of doubt crash, let me cling tighter to your promises. When loss cuts deep, let me remember that nothing in you is ever truly lost. When I am tempted to give in to despair, let me recall the cross, where death was defeated, where darkness was shattered, where hope was born forever. The empty tomb is my anchor, and because of it, I will not drift aimlessly. I am secured by resurrection power, and no tide can pull me away. Father, let this eternal hope reframe even my daily choices. Let it remind me that what I do here matters, not because it earns me love, but because it echoes love already given. Let it remind me that generosity is never wasted, forgiveness is never foolish, compassion is never insignificant. Let it remind me that the smallest seeds of faithfulness can grow into trees of eternal impact. Let it remind me that obedience in the present has ripples that stretch far beyond what I see. Hope lifts my eyes from the temporary to the eternal, and in that vision, nothing feels wasted anymore. Lord, I choose to live not as one grasping for fleeting security, but as one held secure already, not as one scrambling to build meaning, but as one whose meaning is sealed in you, not as one terrified of endings, but as one who trusts in beginnings that follow. Teach me to walk lightly because I am anchored deeply. Teach me to speak boldly because I am rooted in truth. Teach me to rest peacefully because I am carried in everlasting arms. Teach me to hope fiercely because my story is bound to yours. God, I anchor my soul in you again this morning. I drop every false anchor and hold fast to the one who never lets go. I root myself not in what changes, but in what remains. I set my eyes not on what fades, but on what endures, and as I do, I find myself steadied, strengthened, and secure. My hope is not fragile anymore. It is eternal, because it is in you. Father, as my soul anchors itself in eternal hope, I realize that the anchor is not just an idea or a promise, it is your love itself. Hope holds because love holds. Faith endures because love endures. My life is secure not in my ability to cling tightly, but in your unfailing ability to never let me go. The more I think on this truth, the more I see how every thread of my journey has been woven by your love. Even the threads I thought were tangled, even the parts I tried to cut away, were somehow bound up in your mercy and redeemed by your grace. Lord, there have been moments when I doubted this love, seasons when pain made me question, when silence felt like absence, when loss whispered that maybe I had been forgotten. But as I look back now, I can see that love was never gone. It was hidden in the strength I did not know I had. It was present in the kindness of a friend, in the timing of provision, in the quiet comfort of peace that arrived unexplainably in the middle of chaos. It was in every breath I did not think I could take, and every sunrise that greeted me when I thought the night would never end. Your love carried me then, and it carries me still. God, I need this love more than anything else. I do not need perfect answers, because answers without love feel empty. I do not need endless strength, because strength without love turns to pride. I do not need flawless control, because control without love becomes a prison. What I need is love that never fails, love that does not waver when I do, love that does not walk away when I stumble. That love is you, and in you, I finally find rest. Father, let me live today aware of how surrounded I am by this love. Let me carry it in my breathing and in my speaking. Let it shape the way I look at others, so that I no longer see threats or rivals, but fellow souls equally embraced by you. Let it soften the sharp edges of my heart, so that I do not close myself off when I am hurt, but remain open because I know I am safe in you. Let it quiet my anxious thoughts, reminding me that I am not running out of time or opportunities, because love is patient, and love makes room for me to grow. Lord, I ask you to root me so deeply in this love that it becomes impossible to be shaken when storms rage. Let me remember that I am held when disappointments pierce. Let me remember that I am chosen when shame whispers. Let me remember that I am forgiven when fear shouts. Let me remember that I am never abandoned. Let this unfailing love not be just something I read or hear, but something I experience in the marrow of my bones, in the rhythm of my days, in the very way I live and breathe. God, I want this love to overflow, not only to comfort me, but to reach through me. Let me become an instrument of love in a world desperate for it. Teach me to listen without rushing, to give without keeping count, to forgive without demanding repayment, to serve without needing recognition. Let me reflect the love I have received so that others might see you in me, not because I am worthy, but because you are faithful. Love is the testimony that cannot be denied. Love is the fragrance that lingers when words are forgotten. Love is the sign that your spirit is alive in me. Father, I know that love is not always easy. It costs me my pride. It costs me my right to retaliate. It costs me the comfort of staying closed off. Yet what it gives is infinitely greater than what it takes. Love gives freedom. Love gives healing. Love gives purpose. When I choose to love, I am not just acting kindly, I am aligning myself with you. For you are love. And in that alignment, I find joy that nothing else can give. Lord, let love be my compass when decisions confuse me. Let love be my anchor when fear threatens me. Let love be my courage when obedience feels risky. Let love be my song when despair tries to silence me. Let every action, every thought, every breath be marked by the evidence of unfailing love. And when I fall short, as I will, let me run back quickly into the arms that never close. Let me rest again in the embrace that never withdraws. Let me rise again in the strength of love that never fails. God, I stand in awe that such love is mine, not because I earned, not because I deserved it, but simply because you chose me. And if you have chosen me in love, then nothing can separate me from it. Not hardship, not failure, not loss, not even death. Your love is the beginning and the end, the root and the fruit, the reason and the reward. To be carried by unfailing love is to never truly fall, to never truly be alone, to never truly lose hope. And so, I choose to live carried, to live anchored, to live immersed in this love that holds me now and forever. Father, after being carried by unfailing love, I begin to realize that love is not only what holds me, but also what invites me into rest. Love is not just a force that moves me forward. It is also the gentle hand that tells me I do not need to strive every hour, that I do not need to earn what has already been freely given. Grace flows out of love, and grace is the atmosphere where rest becomes holy, where rest becomes healing, where rest becomes trust in action. My soul has long labored to prove its worth, but in your presence I am learning to rest in grace. Lord, you know how restless my heart can be. Even when my hands are still, my mind runs, my spirit churns. My thoughts circle endlessly around what I should have done or what I must yet do. I measure myself by tasks, by progress, by outcomes. I call it diligence, but often it is fear. Fear that if I stop, I will lose ground. Fear that if I pause, I will be forgotten. Fear that if I do not achieve enough, I will never be enough. Yet your voice cuts through that noise, whispering, Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. This rest is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is not weakness. It is worship. God, teach me to see rest not as wasted time, but as sacred time. The soil cannot bear fruit without seasons of stillness. The body cannot stay strong without sleep. The heart cannot thrive without renewal. Why then do I resist the very thing my soul craves? Why do I run when you call me to lie down in green pastures? Why do I chase when you invite me beside still waters? Perhaps because rest requires trust, and trust feels risky. Yet here, surrounded by grace, I am safe to let go. I am safe to breathe. I am safe to release what was never mine to control. Father, let rest in grace reshape the way I see my worth. No longer tied to productivity, no longer chained to performance, no longer measured by perfection. My worth is not earned by hours of labor. It is secured by your love. My identity is not built by my striving. It is sealed by your spirit. Rest reminds me that I am not the savior of my own life, nor the sustainer of the world around me. You are, and because you are, I am free to stop pretending I must be. Rest is not stepping away from responsibility, it is stepping into reality. The reality that you are God and I am not. Lord, let this grace-filled rest teach me to live unhurried, to speak slower, listen deeper, and walk lighter, to savor the small joys instead of rushing past them, to notice the quiet mercies that fill my days, mercies that striving blinds me to. Rest teaches me that love is not in the rush, but in the presence, not in the achievement, but in the abiding. Help me to cultivate rhythms of stillness that protect my soul from collapse. Help me to honor the boundaries of my body, the limits of my mind, the needs of my spirit. For you did not create me to burn out. You created me to bear fruit that lasts, and lasting fruit requires rooted rest. God, when I resist rest, remind me of Jesus, who often withdrew to lonely places to pray. If even he, who carried the weight of the world's redemption, made time for solitude and renewal, how much more must I? Rest is not laziness, it is alignment. It is choosing to return to the source instead of running on empty. It is admitting that I cannot pour without being filled. It is confessing that my strength is not infinite, but your grace always is. Father, I long for this rest to transform even my work. Let me work from rest instead of for rest. Let me create from peace instead of pressure. Let me give from abundance instead of depletion. Let me serve from joy instead of resentment. Let every task become lighter when carried in grace. Let every responsibility become holy when rooted in trust. Let rest not be the reward after the battle, but the posture within it. Let grace be the air I breathe as I move through the demands of each day. Lord, let this rest in grace ripple outward into how I treat others. When I live rested, I no longer demand perfection from those around me. When I live rested, I can extend patience instead of irritation, gentleness instead of harshness, understanding instead of judgment. Rest softens my edges and widens my capacity to love. Let my life show others that peace is possible, not because circumstances are easy, but because grace is real. Let my very presence become a place of rest for weary souls, a reminder that there is another way to live. God, This morning I choose to stop running in circles of overthinking, circles of proving, circles of exhaustion. I step into the rhythm of grace. I lay down the armor of constant striving. I breathe deep, knowing I am safe to rest in you. And as I rest, I trust that you are still at work sustaining, providing, guiding. I trust that nothing is lost in stillness, but much is gained. I trust that the world does not fall apart when I stop, because it is held in stronger hands than mine. And so I rest, not as escape, but as surrender, not as weakness, but as worship, not as an ending, but as the way to begin again. Father, after learning to rest in grace, I begin to sense the renewal stirring in my spirit. Rest does not leave me empty. It fills me with the strength I did not realize I was missing. What I once thought was weakness has become the very ground where resilience is born. The stillness that seemed unproductive has actually prepared me to rise with greater purpose. It is not the frantic energy of striving, but the quiet strength of one who knows where their help comes from. It is a strength not fueled by fear, but sustained by love, not driven by control, but anchored in trust. Lord, you remind me that renewal does not always come in dramatic flashes. Sometimes it comes like the slow rising of the sun, light spilling gradually over a horizon once hidden in shadow. Sometimes it comes like water soaking into dry soil, unseen yet transformative. Sometimes it comes like a gentle breeze that refreshes without announcement. Renewal is not always loud, but it is always life-giving. I feel it now not as a surge of adrenaline, but as a deep steadying of my soul. I rise today not with frantic urgency, but with quiet confidence that you are with me and in me. God, I have spent so much of my life believing that strength was something I had to manufacture. I pushed myself beyond my limits, measuring worth by endurance, convincing myself that collapse was failure. But you are teaching me a different way. True strength is not the absence of weariness, is the willingness to return to you when I am weary. True strength is not the denial of weakness, it is the courage to bring weakness into your presence, where it becomes a vessel for your power. You have said that your strength is made perfect in weakness, and I want to live that truth fully. I no longer need to pretend I am unbreakable. I only need to remember that I am unshackable in you. Father, let this renewed strength guide the way I move through today. Let it steady my mind when distractions rise. Let it ground my heart when anxieties threaten. Let it empower my hands to serve with love instead of exhaustion. Let it give me courage to take steps I once hesitated to take. Let it sustain me in conversations that feel heavy, decisions that feel daunting, and responsibilities that feel beyond me. Renewal does not remove challenges, but it transforms how I face them. I face them no longer alone, but carried by grace and clothed in strength that is not my own. Lord, I want to rise not just for myself, but for others. Let my renewed strength become a testimony for the weary around me. Let them see that resilience is not about pushing harder, but about leaning deeper. Let them recognize that peace and power can coexist, that gentleness and resilience are not opposites but companions. Let me speak words that strengthen the faint-hearted, offer presence that comforts the broken, and extend hope that lifts the discouraged. My renewal is not just for me. It is for the sake of love. It is for the sake of shining your light more brightly in places where despair has taken root. God, I know that renewal is not a one-time event. It is a rhythm, a continual returning to the well of your presence. I cannot live today on yesterday as strength. I cannot rely on past moments of clarity to sustain me in present struggles. I need fresh manna, fresh breath, fresh filling each day. Teach me to come often, not only when I am desperate but also when I am steady, so that my soul never runs dry. Teach me to remain in you, so that renewal is not occasional but constant, not rare but regular. The vine never withholds from the branches. May I never wander from the source. Father, I rise today with the knowledge that strength is not proven by how much I carry, but by how much I release into your hands. It is not shown by how much noise I make, but by how much peace I hold. It is not measured by applause, but by faithfulness in hidden places. Let me live with that strength quiet, rooted, unshaken. Let me walk lightly yet firmly, moving with purpose but not panic, driven not by fear but by love. Let this renewal become the rhythm of my soul, so that I rise each day not as one surviving, but as one flourishing in you. Lord, I thank you that breaking point was not the end, but the beginning. That surrender led to rest, and rest has now led to strength. I see now how each step has been connected. The breaking stripped me. The surrender freed me. The rest restored me. And now the renewal empowers me. You waste nothing. You weave it all together into a story that testifies not to my endurance, but to your faithfulness. And as I rise today, I carry that story within me. I carry it not as a heavy burden, but as a song, a reminder that my life is held by hands stronger than my fears. God, I step forward with renewed strength, not because I am invincible, but because I am loved. Not because I know the future, but because I know the one who holds it. Not because I will never falter, but because I will never fall beyond your reach. This strength is not loud, but it is lasting. It is not dramatic, but it is dependable. It is not mine alone, but it is shared by every child who leans into your love. And so, I rise not in striving, but in surrender, not in panic, but in peace, not in self, but in you. Father, as I come to this final chapter of my morning prayer, I feel the weight of the journey that has carried me here. From the trembling cries of weakness to the quiet surrender, from the breaking open of old vows to the discovery of hidden strength, every word has been a step along a path that you have patiently guided. I realize now that prayer itself is not an escape from life, but the very breath that makes life holy. It is where my scattered thoughts find home, where my restless heart finds rhythm, and where my weary soul remembers it is loved. In this place, I do not stand as one who has finished, but as one who has only begun. Lord, I see how faith is not a single mountain to climb, but a daily walk, a journey renewed with every sunrise. It is not a storehouse of certainty, but a constant returning to your presence when certainty fails. Faith is fragile at times, strong at others, but always alive because you sustain it. And today I understand that faith is not about never questioning, but about always bringing those questions to you. It is not about never faltering, but about knowing where to turn when I do. It is not about reaching the end of striving for control, but about living open-handed, trusting that your plans are greater than mine. God, I want to carry this faith into the ordinary moments, into the conversations over morning coffee, into the decisions made in crowded rooms, into the pauses between tasks when I wonder if any of it matters. I want to walk with faith not only when life feels heavy, but when it feels light, not only when challenges rise, but when blessings flow. Let faith be the lens through which I see everything, the people I love, the struggles I face, the opportunities I am given. Let it shape me into someone who responds with kindness instead of fear, patience instead of haste, generosity instead of grasping, peace instead of panic. Let my faith be lived, not just spoken. Father, I know that the world around me will still stir doubts. It will whisper of scarcity when you have promised abundance. It will shout of fear when you have declared peace. It will magnify failure when you are already speaking redemption. Yet even in that noise, let me be anchored in what I know to be true, that nothing can separate me from your love, that your presence never leaves me, that hope is always near. Let faith become not just my shield but my song, not just my defense but my daily delight. And as I carry it forward, let not only sustain me but inspire those around me to lift their eyes to you as well. Lord, I see now that this journey has never been about me proving anything. It has been about me learning to live from grace instead of against it, about finding freedom in surrender, about discovering strength in stillness, about seeing love as the foundation of all things. And as I reflect, I realize how each chapter of this prayer has mirrored the movement of my own heart: fear giving way to trust, striving giving way to surrender, silence giving way to peace, weariness giving way to renewal. Nothing has been wasted. Everything has been woven into a tapestry of faith that I will continue to carry long after these words are done. God, I do not ask that life be easy, but that I remain open to be led where I do not expect, open to receive what I do not deserve, open to release what I cannot keep, open to trust when I cannot see, open to love when I am tempted to close off, open to rise again when I stumble. For in openness I find freedom, and in freedom I find you. Teach me to wake each morning ready not to control the day, but to walk with you in it. Teach me to end each night not with regret, but with gratitude for grace that covered me from the first breath to the last. Father, I thank you for everyone who has joined in this journey of prayer. To those who have walked through these words with me, I offer gratitude from the deepest part of my heart. Thank you for staying until the end, for opening your spirit to this unfolding path of trust and surrender, for choosing to seek the presence of God in a world that so often pulls us away. Your companionship in this prayer is itself a gift, a reminder that faith is not carried alone, but shared among hearts seeking the same light. I invite you, dear friend, to share your own reflections, your own prayers, your own whispers of hope below. Let your words become part of this sacred conversation, for together we strengthen one another. If these prayers have stirred something in you, if they have reminded you of truth, if they have met you in your need, then I ask you to continue this journey with me. Subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss the next prayer, the next reflection, The next reminder that you are not alone. Share this video with someone who needs encouragement, who needs hope, who needs to know that love is still real and present. Together, let us build a rhythm of faith that sustains not just ourselves but the world around us. And as we come to this moment, I do not close the prayer with a final word, for there is no final word when it comes to love and faith. There is only continuation, only the quiet resolve to rise again tomorrow and begin anew. The journey does not end here. It goes on in every step you take, every breath you breathe, every moment you choose trust over fear. So let us leave this space not with an ending, but with an opening, a heart ready to receive, a spirit ready to walk forward, a life ready to live fully in the presence of God. And as you go, may you carry this image with you, the first light of dawn spreading gently across the horizon. Not sudden, not loud, but steady and sure. A light that promises the night has passed, that a new day has come, that hope is already here, like the morning breeze brushing softly against your face, like the living water flowing quietly through dry ground. May this moment linger in you not as a conclusion, but as a beginning,